Marlins, why are you the way that you are? I swear that every time I want to go and have fun, you go ahead and make it not that way. I hate everything that you Marlins choose to be. That and more on the Cinnamon Postgame Show right now. Well, that sucked. Welcome to the postgame show, aka therapy for Cub fans tonight. I am Alex Brault along with Ty, setup man Ty the Cubs guy, as we just watched the Cubs blow another game. Their bullpen had been really good, but even though you didn't like the Cubs tonight, that doesn't mean you can't hit that like button for us. Hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for all the fun stuff we have, not including tonight's game. And I already see the comments going off. I saw even before we even hit the go live button, people were in the comments. So keep the chat active. Go nuts. I did see someone, and I'm sorry I can't find the comment now. Someone said fire Hoyer, which just feels like very out of left field. Like everyone's just angry and doesn't know where to point the finger. But yeah, so on the show today, it's not going to be a fun one, unfortunately. Well, should we start with the negative or the positive, Ty? Do you want to be glass half full or glass half empty?
I think we should start glass half empty because that's the way I feel.
Well, then let's talk about this bullpen. Daniel Palencia, I don't even blame him. But anyone else just a little concerned about Porter Hodge? He pitched on Saturday, didn't pitch yesterday. Palencia pitched 2 games in a row this weekend, Friday, Saturday, was warming up yesterday and then pitched again today. I don't even blame him for the loss today. I mean, yes, obviously he's the one responsible. But, Ty, something's got to be up with Porter Hodge. Like, something, 1 + 1 = 2. Something, the math ain't math in here. Something feels off.
It feels very off, Alex. My tone doesn't sound frustrated because I'm still kind of like, we kind of were sitting there, like it's kind of, you kind of have that, like, you know, like you're just going to win this game because it's just like, you know, this playing a very, very below average baseball team.
Yep.
In the team you mentioned in the opener. So Porter Hodge pitched on Saturday and threw 18 pitches.
Sorry, Ty, this is the first time we get to use the sound effect, not ironically. We have breaking news. According to Craig Counsell, Porter Hodge was not available tonight because he is going to be placed on the IL with a left oblique issue. So breaking news, Porter Hodge is headed to the IL with left oblique issues. So that solves that mystery. And the first time I get to use the breaking news sound effect. So that's something.
Oh, man.
I know that from one moment to the next, this show has changed tone like 6 times, even before we went on air.
Yeah, what is this show right now? This is the weirdest show I think I've done.
We're completely off the rails. We're completely unhinged, and we're going to lean into it. So, yeah, there you go. Porter Hodge to the IL.
I'll say this. Okay, so that sucks. I don't even know how to react to that because we don't have a closer.
I guess it's Palencia.
Well, so, okay, Daniel Palencia hadn't given up an earned run since April 23rd.
He's been good. He's been pretty.
He's been great.
Yeah,
he's been great. And I felt like his performance that one on the 20th or the 10th, excuse me, against the New York Mets was critical because he, of course, was in a little bit of a tough situation and got them that huge win on that Saturday. Tonight, it just felt like okay, let's discuss that inning, right? So he gets it down. He did give up a good piece to Horner, which thankfully Horner made the play on, so that got the second out. And then basically, like almost like a half-ass. I feel bad calling it a half-ass double, but it felt like it didn't even feel like the guy swung all the way through. Hits the double. I thought Tucker was going to catch that. Did not, which sucked. Walks a guy who I saw on the line had like a 500 OPS, so that wasn't great. That's what really kind of did it for me, was when that happened, it went, okay, now you got Jesus Sanchez and then Augustin Ramirez, who have been on fire and had great days, of course, especially in the first inning against Ben Brown. Alex, who is our closer?
I'm telling you, just based off tonight and based off yesterday, I was going to save this for later in the show because we do have other injury updates to get to. Why does this Cubs medical staff take so long to figure out these injuries, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, by the way, he's going on the IL. He just pitched Saturday. Did it happen Saturday? Was he feeling something and you still pitched him Saturday? I mean, I guess we're probably not going to know the answers, and I do have my phone on, so if you hear vibrating, I'm trying to figure out what's going on here, just like the rest of y'all. But, I mean, and I don't want to get there now, but, like, Ian Happ is an example. He'll be back. This was last weekend. Yep, he'll be back. No worries. No IL stint. Oh, hey, it was worse than we thought. Okay, Cody Bellinger last year. He's just little bruised ribs. He'll be back in a couple days. IL. Oh, yeah, actually, he cracked a rib. Like, why does it take so long for them to figure this stuff out? Because now you're in a position where we, the fans, are at home. We're like, oh, hey, Palencia's closing. That's weird. I wonder if something's wrong with Hodge. Oh, yeah, by the way, he's got an oblique issue. Well, you clearly knew that over the weekend. Clearly. Why did you wait till today to do this? To say, oh, yeah, by the way, he's going on the IL. It makes no sense, and I'm so frustrated by it, and I don't know who to point my anger at. Is that management? Is that training staff? It's just mind-blowing for a team that's trying to not only win the division, but to potentially win the goddamn World Series. Why do we not know this? I'll hang up and listen.
I would like to say you beautifully said that. I don't have much to add after the fact. I would love to have that answer. I want to scream in frustration as well. This team right now seems to feel like they're in a position where they are the Dodgers with the resources, quote unquote, that we have for backup plans. The bullpen is not one of those things right now for the Cubs organization, if we're being quite honest. The Cubs find guys that are sort of like, just leftover trash from other organizations that they somehow fix up and make work throughout the middle of the season. They don't do well at all with finding guys and making them work from the beginning of the season to moving on. They can't develop arms. So I'm in a little bit of a kind of a battle right now between there must be a real serious issue when it comes to pitching development in this organization from the bullpen side of things. So this is I don't even know where to start, man. I don't know where.
I'm literally baffled. I know
it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Like in business, right? Communication is key. They do not do communication well in this organization.
Apparently not.
It's piss freaking poor. It really is. It's piss poor. So, I think we should get to some other notes here for this game because we could go on for the bullpen here for the next couple of hours. I'll leave it with this. I think Daniel Palencia had a legitimate shot to close the game tonight. I think he had earned that opportunity to receive this chance against a lower level team like the Marlins.
Agreed.
The problem is that he didn't execute against two hitters that were two bottom of barrel hitters in their lineup when there was 2 outs. And it's like you wanted the guy to throw strikes. Well, he threw strikes to the guy who hit the double in the gap. He didn't throw strikes to the guy after that. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well, and obviously this is breaking news. So our outline is basically for the A block is out the window. But before we move on to, unfortunately, more injury stuff, I do want to shout out Miguel Amaya because I don't think on this program and really a lot of Cubs podcasts, we have not talked enough about Miguel Amaya. He has been unbelievable all season. After today, his season stat line is at a 287 batting average, 4 homers, most of which clutch, by the way. And he's now up to 25 RBIs. And he's there playing as their secondary catcher. I know they're technically co-catching, co-ones, but Carson Kelly with his bat has been getting a lot more playing time. I'll tell you, man, Miguel Amaya, defensively, offensively, has really balled out. And I just want to show him some love before we move on to the next segment.
Absolutely. I will try to find a stat that Alex and I were discussing about Carson Kelly that I hopefully can, hopefully I can use a calculator and figure out those numbers later. But Miguel Amaya has been now in a weird position, right? Because for a lot of Cubs fans, when they had, we had the success with Moises Ballesteros in the farm system, and now we're kind of seeing it here at the professional level. A lot of people were saying Miguel Amaya might be a trade piece. His defense, unfortunately, is not as good as probably it needs to be a really valuable trade asset because he's under contract until like 2030, 2031. So, yeah. But what he's doing is that what I love to see is that Kelly and Amaya are working off each other. And it's because of the fact that Kelly had obviously one of the hottest starts in the history of baseball to start the year. Really was going to regress at one point because he's never shown that consistency in the past. And we needed to find a guy who can step in. And I wonder too, Alex, if the Moises call-up motivated Amaya a little bit. I have a feeling that, they're humans at the end of the day, these professional athletes. I wonder if that woke him up a little bit. What do you think?
I mean, he's been pretty good all season. I don't doubt it because it's all of a sudden like, hey, what am I, chop liver? Why can't I DH or what? And I'm not guessing they're thinking, well, if I'm DHing, then that means if someone were to get hurt, then we can't blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't think they think about those machinations of the thing, but it's like, well, I'm hitting pretty good. Why not? It's just human nature. Like, but I'm here. I'm good enough. Why is that guy here? So it makes sense from a human standpoint. And honestly, and actually we need to talk about one other guy too before we move on to the next segment. But he's been really good. I think he's been underappreciated by even us, the fans, and us here at the Setup Man. I would say a lot of podcasts aren't talking a lot about him. So yeah, and you mentioned it. The defense isn't like world beating by any means. He wouldn't have a diamond rating on MLB The Show, but he's been solid back there, and for that, I appreciate him. And also, just very quickly, Matt Shaw re-debuted tonight with the Cubs, went 2 for 4 with an RBI double. Just your quick impressions about Matt Shaw's re-debut tonight.
Well, his first at bat took over Cubs Twitter. Runners at second and third with 2 outs and really embarrassed himself. And look, folks, Edward Cabrera is a very underrated arm in baseball. This guy's stuff is legit. It's actually sort of elite when you look at his slider tonight. We saw what Matt Shaw can do, though, against lower-end pitching, which was great to see because Matt Shaw did come into a stretch where we were facing the best schedule in baseball. So we need to remember these things when we take into consideration of a guy like Moises Ballesteros even, right? He's hitting the ball very hard off a lot of these arms that aren't very legit. And we saw it tonight again. He looked amazing at the dish. In my opinion, he looked amazing in a few at-bats. So what I saw from Matt Shaw tonight was a little bit of nerves in the first at-bat. You could even see him almost talking to himself and really trying to he probably just needed to get that at-bat over with. I was jokingly messaged in the group. I said the worst situation he could have been in right now is a runners at second and third against this type of an arm. Okay. Because this guy is coming off probably where first moment in his life that he really hasn't been successful at the biggest successful at a stage like that. He's always started off slow a little bit in certain departments, but you always felt like he was going to figure it out. So for a guy like Shaw to get that opportunity tonight, to get that big double into the gap, and then of course his other hit as well, I feel like this guy just maybe needed a little bit of time to find himself a little bit down in AAA. We talked about it ad nauseum that players do not have success right away in the big leagues. They just don't. And so it was very refreshing to see that tonight. Seeing guys like PCA, Matt Shaw, Miguel Amaya, not Miguel Amaya, Moises Ballesteros. We're starting to see this young core that we've been talking about for multiple years now. And I love what I'm seeing so far from these guys, particularly Moises Ballesteros and PCA. Hopefully Shaw can follow suit as well.
I'm with you. And the most encouraging thing for me, because as you said, the first at bat, woof, it was rough. It looked like he was trying to pull the ball again, which was what got him in trouble the first time he was up here. But then as the game went on, he was like, oh, that's not my game. And then bang, base hit up the middle, bang, double to deep right. I mean, those are just signs of adjustment. Now, who knows? It'll be a bit of a roller coaster at first. But for the most part, I like what I saw. Defensively, he made every play, no issues, which, Jesus, that felt like a miracle. So overall, a solid second impression for Matt Shaw. All right, now we got to go back to the negatives because we have some news. Not breaking news, but so per Craig Counsell before the game, there were a couple injury updates. Let's start first with Ian Happ. Ian Happ, according to Craig Counsell, is expected to come off the IL at some point during this series in Miami. He's eligible to come off the IL tomorrow. That is per Taylor McGregor of Marquee, and that was off her X account. So it sounds like Ian Happ, either tomorrow or Wednesday, will be activated and reintroduced to the current Cubs group. At this point, Kyle and I did a lot of stuff on lineup construction, but we kind of know Happ's going to be leading off. PCA, I'm guessing, is going to be 5, 6, somewhere in there. And tonight, he didn't look great, although we didn't really give a ton of love to Edward Cabrera. I thought he was absolutely filthy tonight. He was so good. But yeah, the big injury update, though, that we need to talk about is we got an update on Shota Imanaga. According to Craig Counsell, Shota Imanaga will begin throwing off a mound towards the end of this week, but his return will be, quote, well into June. Now, what exactly does that mean? Kind of unclear. They didn't give a set date, but I have my handy-dandy pocket schedule right here. I would guess well into June would be somewhere around Monday the 16th. They're off, and then they start a 3-game series against Milwaukee on the 17th. I know nothing, folks. I am not a doctor, but well into June makes me think it's going to be right around that Milwaukee series. So, but the real question is, Ty, how are they going to survive? We thought, okay, maybe end of May he'll be back. Well, now we're looking maybe mid to end of June. So their series coming up, they have, obviously, this Miami series, Cincinnati, Colorado, Cincinnati, Washington, and then it gets tough. Detroit, Philly, Pittsburgh, and then the Milwaukee series. So with some tough opponents, how does this, especially with the way Ben Brown looked tonight, my God, talk about a roller coaster, how does this rotation survive until Shota gets back?
So I will say this, Ben Brown did have to face an opponent within the same week practically, which is, in my opinion, a joke that the MLB would do that from a scheduling standpoint. I'm not a fan of that at all. Even disregard the fact that there are a lower level organization or lower level team in the standings and in baseball. They're big leaguers for a reason. So seeing a guy twice is a little bit annoying to me. So wasn't too fond of that. Hopefully they figure it out tomorrow and Wednesday. Now with this scheduling, okay, so right now I think Detroit and Philly, in my opinion, you're hopefully coming out of that with a split for 3-3. And so if you're looking at how they're going to handle this whole situation right now with Shota, I would say that Cade Horton obviously has been fine. Colin Ray has been fine. Jameson Taillon has been fine. Matthew Boyd has been fine. So Ben Brown is sort of your outlier at this point. And I just think that Ben Brown just was put in a weird position there facing a team twice in a row. I wasn't a fan of that whatsoever. look, it's going to be chaos with Ben Brown, but who realistically else do you put in that position?
That's the thing, because I was reading the comments here, and I saw earlier someone said Jordan Wicks. I mean, if they lose one more guy, that's who's coming. At this point, the depth is not only being tested, I mean, we're here. This is the depth. It's Jordan Wicks, Connor Noland, who I'm guessing at least 30 to 40% of the chat doesn't even know that name. And now it's like, oh my gosh, I really miss Assad, and he's not coming back till July, August. And I mean, man, oh man, it's just really tough. Colin Ray, solid. Matthew Boyd has been, by his expectations, unbelievable. Tyone's got a little issue with the long ball. And funny you mentioned facing a team twice. We literally have the exact same rematch tomorrow that we did last Wednesday. It's Tyone versus Weathers, which we'll get to that in a second. It's just, they're relying on all these young kids. And it's to the point where flexing is an option too if they lose one more guy. But honest to God, it's hang on for dear life and pray to God no one else gets injured. But what do I know? Because if someone gets injured, maybe they'll just say, oh, he's fine, and then be on the IL 2 days later. Sorry, am I still salty about that? Is it coming across that I'm salty about that? Unbelievable.
A little bit. But, hey, really quick, can we talk one more thing that you mentioned earlier?
Yes.
So now with Ian Happ expected to come back off the IL, the obvious choice would be obviously to put Porter Hodge on the IL. But that brings your roster of pitching down to 12. So now you only have 12 arms, which chat would love if you guys could help us out here because I don't want to look this up. Do you have to have a minimum of 13 or does 12 work? Make sure you post in the comments, okay? We really appreciate looks like there are quite a few sitting in here tonight with us. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your nights to talk about this. So let's say this, okay? So let's go with the situation of this, Alex. Okay, I won't go too long here. Ian Happ goes down or comes back. Okay, so you have to send somebody out. Porter Hodge goes down. Let's say they just bring another arm in because they just want to suffix that. So now we have to find somebody to bring down. Are you sending down Ballesteros?
Oh man. Kyle and I kind of touched on this last night. I think, honestly, if they have to send down a bat, for me, it's John Birdie. I mean, I know they're paying him, so that complicates things. But Vidal Brujan at least has shown signs of life. John Birdie, at this point, looks like me swinging a fly swatter up there. I mean, a quote-unquote contact guy that was 0 for last week. I personally, and especially the way Ballesteros has looked at the plate, I mean, even today, he looked really solid. I personally would do John Birdie, but then what do you do with Ballesteros? Because then he's going to sit on the bench a lot. And I see Noah in the chat here says you do need 13 pitchers. So I don't know if that's opinion or because it's just very matter of fact. But honestly, the way that the Cubs operate, I would imagine it's probably going to be an arm for an arm and a bat for a bat. That he says minimum. So, okay. So if that is the case, then they will need to do arm for arm, bat for bat.
Because realistically, you have to either DFA Turner, Birdie, or Brujan. All guys are making at least above, obviously, league minimum of $750K. Birdie's making 2, Turner's making 5 to 6. So the Cubs are notorious for wanting to use their resources to the nth degree and squeeze out as much as possible as what they have. So that's why I think that Ballesteros will ultimately be sent down. And it will not necessarily be a fan favorite because of how comfortable he's looked at the dish. And don't care about the results. The at-bats have looked flawless. So even before I had like a comment written down before Shaw hit that double into the gap, the ground rule double, I messed that up earlier. I thought in my head, I was like, Ballesteros is twice the hitter that Matt Shaw is. And then Matt Shaw, of course, woke up there a little bit at the end. But we are seeing a really special talent that unfortunately right now has to be a DH, and that limits his flexibility. And Council wants flexibility. And unfortunately, that's just not going to be it. So I think Happ comes back, Ballesteros gets option, and then we'll Porter Hodge to the IL, and then we'll probably bring in another arm. So that's where I'm at with that situation there.
Yeah, and I can't say I disagree with you. I think that is probably how it plays out. And the Ballesteros thing it's a tough one because, yes, he can only play catcher. I saw first base. Look, man, he is not – I don't think he's, mobile enough to play first, but also just the stature. Like 5'9" just doesn't scream first base.
Nothing against short guys. Nothing against the short community.
Short king. For sure.
Short king.
He's a short king. That's a different conversation. I know we're coming up on the half-hour mark, so I know we got to keep it rolling. But I see the chat. I have to mention this. I don't know if they're joking or not. I see DFA Kyle Tucker. Tucker's defense sucks.
We got trade Suzuki and keep Mo. This is a joke. Not going to take it as a joke, Matt.
I appreciate
you posted. It's true.
It's just these Marlins make us crazy. They've done it since 2003. And that's why the title or the thumbnail that you'll see on YouTube later is House of Horrors. Miami has always been a house of horrors, and that has stayed true today as the Cubs drop a frustrating one. Let's get to tomorrow's game, but right after we hear from our friends at Avia Shirts.
Setup Nation, I want to take a quick break so that you know how you can support our channel and wear some cool swag like this. We've teamed up with Avia Shirts to give you a chance to have your very own Setup Man shirt or hat. Pick from 3 different types of shirts or my personal favorite, the trucker hat. Go to the link in the description of this video and podcast to claim your Setup Man apparel. And thank you so much for supporting our channel.
Thank you for supporting us indeed. However, the Cubs need your support tomorrow because another 5:40 p.m. Central game. And as I said earlier, it is the exact same matchup that we saw last Wednesday. It'll be Jameson Taillon versus Ryan Weathers. Ryan Weathers, if you recall, last Wednesday was pretty darn good in his season debut. He got the win, 5 innings, only 2 hits allowed, 1 earned run, which was a Seiya Suzuki solo shot. He walked 1 and struck out 5. Jameson Taillon on the other side of that matchup. On the season, he's 2-3 with a 4.53 ERA with 42 Ks. Last Wednesday against the Marlins, 6 inning, 3 earned runs. However, those 3 earned runs were all solo shot home runs, no walks, and 7 Ks. I personally would like to just see them. Okay, we just saw Ryan Weathers. We kind of know what we're dealing with. I hope the offense was solid tonight. There missed some opportunities, but I'm nitpicking because they lost. But Ty, what should we expect tomorrow as the Cubs kind of a low-key must-win game?
I would definitely agree with that. Right now, the Cubs are at an 836 OPS against lefties this year, 754 against righties. You're seeing an arm you've seen twice, 2 weeks in the same week. It's the same situation with the Marlins when it came to Ben Brown today. In my opinion, it has to start with Kyle Tucker tomorrow. In my opinion, I think Kyle Tucker has to have a big game tomorrow. He's been a little bit on the quieter side. I don't want to say we're going to start to see regression from other guys like PCA and others, but I'd like to see Kyle Tucker have one of those games. I really would. I would like to see him have one of those games to sort of retool that lineup because other people have really been picking up the slack. What I need to see tomorrow from this lineup is working the count. Right, because we use quite a bit of their lineup, quite a bit of their bullpen tonight. I'm so sorry. Quite a bit of their bullpen tonight. When it came to Edward Cabrera this evening, we saw him at 70, 80 pitches, almost through 5. So this guy, the way this lineup is going to have success is going to be dragging out at bats tomorrow. So I'd like to see a guy like Kyle Tucker have a big day tomorrow. Carson Kelly will probably be in the lineup, so I'd like to see him take a step forward. And finally, can Matt Shaw continue his trend? Because getting that production from the 9-hole, and hopefully he's still in the 9-hole tomorrow. I don't want them to change anything. Yep. From Jameson Taillon's side of things, 3 earned, 4 earned is not going to hurt. Is not going to hurt this team, right? Continue to be a veteran on the mound. Continue to continue to pump up the strike zone because right now, with this Porter Hodge news, this bullpen is a little suspect. And so
shallow.
We understand that you may give up the long ball. Okay. We saw it with 3 solo home runs last time out. 0 walks, 7 Ks. Continue that tomorrow. We need you to at least get through 6. We need at least 6 because The reason why you can get the 6 at least is that you then at least have the opportunity to go Keller multiple innings. Even though you don't really want to right now, I think that's going to help us a lot. If we can't even get to 5 with this guy tomorrow, tomorrow's going to be chaos.
Yeah. They went through a lot of arms today. Ben Brown wasn't super efficient. I mean, he got through, what did I say earlier, 5? I didn't write it down, so it doesn't matter. But he only went 3, 4, 5, and then Thielbar had to come in, and then they used Pomerantz, and they used Palencia for the technically fourth day in a row because he warmed up yesterday. So, no, the bullpen already is kind of in rough shape. So, yeah, they're going to need Tyone to be reliable, and if you can give us 6, fantastic. Give us 7, like shoot for the moon tomorrow. If he's rolling, I mean, pitch count, obviously, but if he's rolling, man, take us home because we kind of need tomorrow's win. Especially, obviously, now that we're battling for the series. So, if you can't tell, I'm a little rattled by the Porter Hodge news, so I think that's a good place to end it. Let me just double check, make sure I didn't miss any news. Nope, just being placed on the IL. Fantastic. So much like Porter Hodge, Ty and I are going to go ice up. But before we do, make sure on the way out the door, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, help us out in that department. We'll be back tomorrow. I pray to God with a different result, and we can be a little more sunshine pumping tomorrow. But yes, but for Ty, I'm Alex. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting our channel. We'll see you tomorrow with hopefully some better results.